Our conversation about the transformations taking place at the Maine State Prison with the man responsible for a lot of them, Randall Liberty. Liberty is Maine's Commissioner of Corrections. Before that, he was the warden of the state prison in Warren.
And before that, Liberty served more than 26 years in the Kennebec County Sheriff's Office. That experience is what has shaped his approach to leadership, because for Liberty, this work isn't just important, it's personal.
It's like being buried alive.
This place is like an insane asylum.
10 years ago.
You can have them do their whole time in segregation. I don't want them living next to me when you release them.
PBS Frontline took a close look at the debate surrounding prison reform in the United States. And this was the norm in the Maine State Prison's solitary confinement unit.
The officers sometimes have to use mace on inmates who won't comply.
Monsters! This is what they create in here, monsters!
A decade later, that solitary confinement space has been transformed into the Earned Living Unit. It's a new approach, and it's a privilege only offered to those inmates committed to a higher standard both inside the prison and out.
It lifted a weight off my shoulders, like when I came down here. It's just like a sense of freedom, opposed to me being locked in all the time down there.
Here, the men can move freely in and out of their cells, have access to their own food, a kitchen, gym equipment, books, television, and more.
As you see, there's a field that outside that used to be no man's land. The policy was if you saw a resident in no man's land, you had the authority to use deadly force. Now that gate's open, and they have an acre and a half for organic gardening. They compost and they garden there. They have 1,000 strawberry plants, 1,200 raspberry plants, peppers, carrots, tomatoes, everything you can imagine, organically grown.
Commissioner of Corrections, Randall Liberty, says the model is unique and it's working.
So in 2017, we had 80 assaults on staff. And as a result of the work that the residents are doing and the work that we're doing here as Department of Corrections employees, we had 7 assaults on staff last year. 7. So it went from 80 to 7. We all believe in redemption when it pertains to us. But when we have, we're asked to give forgiveness to others or let other people redeem, that's a struggle for many of us. And I would say that the men in this unit, many of the men in our custody have redeemed themselves. They've done all of the things they should do educationally, programmatically, supporting each other. The individuals here that are working are sending money home to their families, to their children, paying off their fines, restitution, all of that. It's working well for us.
Working, and in some cases, even cutting costs.
One of the things that we did to enhance the soil here at the Maine State Prison is we compost all of the organics that are going out behind, that are leaving the kitchen. The first year that I was here in 2015, we saved $150,000 by composting those organics and rotating them in the soil rather than transporting them to the local landfill.
Liberty says offering all inmates opportunity, like access to college courses, learning a trade.
I went with the reference, I got the orange, actually ordered the thread special with the orange and then the, like the white, to mimic the fins along the edges.
Or even volunteering not only helps redefine what a successful prison sentence looks like, it's a reminder that something as simple as treating someone with dignity and respect can go a long way.
I want it to be a therapeutic environment. Many individuals arrive here with a very difficult childhood and lives of poverty, neglect, trauma. And this should be a place of healing and allowing people to grow and redeem themselves.
People are going to watch this interview and think to themselves, this is a prison,
sure,
not a church.
Sure.
Why are we doing this? Why are we spending money on something like this?
It's all about outcomes. If the outcomes that we're trying to achieve are making Maine a safer state, making our community safer, this is how we make safe communities. We release people that are healthier, that are good citizens, and they don't return.
Fewer individuals returning to incarceration means less of a financial burden on taxpayers. Liberty says Maine's return to custody rate is much lower than the national average. He credits much of that success to better addiction treatment.
We have universal medication for substance use disorder. If you arrive in the correctional system in the state of Maine and you have a script, we honor that for medication. If you do not, you've been self-medicating, we are able to provide the medication for you. We see that as a medical decision between the clinician and the resident. when individuals are preparing to transition back into the community, Maine Care is activated and there's no break in service. Several months before individuals release, they meet with the providers that will be providing them treatment on the outside. There's no break in treatment, and that's been critical. And we've been able to determine that we've had a 60% reduction in overdose deaths for people that are releasing back into the community from the prison system if they've been attended and provided the treatment that they currently receive now. 60% reduction in overdose death prevention. And so that's been it's been a tremendous success.
That success isn't the only thing keeping him going. Liberty says this work is deeply personal, and he has no plans of stopping.
The first time I went to the Maine State Prison was to visit my father. In 1971, he was doing I think an 18-month bid for burglaries, and so my brothers and I was 7 at the time, and we visited frequently at the old Thomaston State Prison. So I understand what it's like to be a family member of individuals that are incarcerated. It gives me a different perspective. And he did a bunch of local jail time, and when I came off active duty in the Army, he was actually at the Somerset County Jail where I was working. And so I guarded my father for 3 months. And as strange as it sounds, it's very normative. Some of the best time I spent with him. I also have family members that are in my care now because of a substance use disorder. So I understand the impact on families and on communities. I understand these issues, and so they're important to me to make sure that individuals are released and they're healed and they're redeemed and they're educated and they're treated, and everyone wins when that happens.
Just incredible perspective to be able to carry into that job.
And extraordinary, the changes that have occurred within the Maine prison system. I mean, I've been covering it 30, 40 years, and it simply did not look anything back then the way it looks now.
No.
Dramatic changes.
And Randy mentioned the volunteer opportunities for inmates too. So while we were there that day, they had inmates filling 12,000 backpacks to be donated to the community, specifically in Portland, the homeless community, because they're all very plugged in with what's going on outside of the prison walls, and they're looking to give back. So all of the money that was raised to fill these backpacks, the men inside the prison raised by either buying food or making their own things. So it's crazy, and the programs are having an impact on the guards just as much as the inmates. So this was part 2 of our conversation. If you'd like to see part 1, just head to the 207 section of our website and app, and you can see what's going on at the Maine State Prison.
Yeah, well worth watching part 1.